Candyman, a podcast where we're not going to be talking about the original Candyman movie, where Dr. Burke's death won the Golden Chainsaw Award because it had the most visible hookage. I took that fact directly from IMDb. I don't know what it means. But we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Sweet Tooth, Season 3, Episode 6. I'm Alex.
Here there be monsters. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete. You going to do that the whole time?
What?
Seriously?
Yeah, he's going to use that voice the whole time because we're going to be talking about the episode Here There Be Monsters, and then later we're going to be reviewing some monsters of our own. Swedish Fish.
Come on, where's your fish, bro?
The original Swedish Fish.
Where's your fish?
Hey,
this candy's a joke. This is a joke, Candy.
Don't tip your hand, sir. Don't tip your hand. You know what's not a joke, though, is this episode of this TV show. Everybody's in Alaska, and I do mean everybody. Everybody who is anybody is in Alaska. This episode, Gus finally reunites with Birdie, thanks to the Caribou Man. We get big origins about what's been going on with the cave, where the hybrids come from, all this stuff. Still some mysteries to come, but we get a lot of answers there. Meanwhile, the Alaska base is taken over by Zhang and her forces. Must be super tough for them because they're used to the warmth of Texas. Now here they are as the eternal night is about to fall. Polar night is falling. We got a countdown to that across the entire episode. And Singh gives up all the information he was holding on to last episode.
He sings.
Sing sings. And lets them know that they got to go to the cave. So everybody is converging on the cave as we head towards the final run, the last 2 episodes of the series ever. Here, lots of other stuff going on. Becky and Wendy reunite with the group. Jep also gives them a big old hug. And there's a lot of other stuff going on, but
a lot of emotions.
There's a knock on the door.
A knock at the cabin. Knock at the cabin, as they say.
If the cabin is rocking, don't bother knocking.
So big stuff going down. We could definitely guess who the knock at the cabin is at the end there. Yeah. But let's start with the Birdie stuff and all the stuff going on there with Caribou Man. There's a lot of pressure to deliver that reunion or first time really seeing each other moment between Gus and Birdie. I think they delivered. That's it. That's my expert commentary.
Say less.
Wow, geez, yeah. I mean, it was a very sweet, powerful moment. I thought might never happen, but now it was. It's great. It's great to kind of get it out of the way. I was a little dubious of the show. I felt like was kind of holding back with the mom, where she kind of felt a little bit unsettled, or I don't know. I just felt like there was something going on with the mom where she wasn't on the right side for a little bit. You know what I mean? There's
definitely a secret she's holding on to, and maybe we know what it is, and I've forgotten. But there is that moment later in the episode where she's like, "Gus, and then Gus lays out all sorts of information and interrupts her so we don't find out what it is.
Plus, she gets a cartoon amount of dynamite and just puts it in her, backpack.
I think that's her secret. She's Wile E. Coyote.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, I think there's going to be, like, I'm not your real mom, I'm not your biological mom, but Gus knows that already, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of sort of stuff in the mix. Stuff that, it would really behoove us to go back, like Caribou Man.
Yeah, hey, nice.
Put us to go back and rewatch, because the Will Forte stuff from season 1, I feel like we're going to get some of that again. And that's so important, but that's like such a distant memory, not just in our brains, but in the show's brain. The story has moved so far from that it's important, but I don't quite know how.
Well, I will say there was a big theme in this episode, and the show has been turning this way anyway, but at the beginning of the show was all about daddies, right? Like, it was about Will Forte was a daddy, and he was protecting him. And then we got Jep, his surrogate daddy, and then Singh was trying to be a daddy as well. But now,
no daddy.
Now is a time for mommies, is what we're getting here. Mommy, Gussie mommy back, Nuka mommy. Really doing some great stuff, mommy. And then also there's, Sienna. See? I told you it was Sienna.
We were both right. You said Sienna, I said Tiana, and it's Sienna.
There you go. Together, our powers are stronger than ever. And just to wrap it up, we do have the other mommy, which is Caribou Man mommy. So
Mommy.
there you go. Pete, what do you think about this? Is it no longer time for daddies and now is mommy time?
Well, I'd like to, while we're talking about the beginning of the show, the episode,
Pete, I
we
asked
have
you
this
a direct
very,
question.
That was a direct question, Pete.
yeah, and I directly ignored you.
I'd appreciate an answer here.
I don't care about what you appreciate.
Why won't you answer this question? What are you afraid of?
I think that
Mommy.
I love the way that this show starts. Every episode, it has such a kind of like beautiful shot, because this world is very different from ours. I think they do a very amazing job of kind of pulling us in each time with, and this time we got kind of a woman singing here. As we kind of start this episode, I just really impressed with the artistry in which this show is executed, and just wanted to kind of take a moment and acknowledge that.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like this episode is the big coming together. It has like second to last episode vibes, despite the fact that we have two more coming. And I thought, just overview wise, like it was really nice to start at such a distant point of the sort of birth or recent birth of Caribou Man, all the way to everyone coming together with over a Leonard Cohen song, who is sort of music's pinky poppin',
Can we revisit something from the previous episode? We talked a lot about that close-up on Caribou Man's eyes the last episode,
Yes.
and we're like,
Right.
ooh, maybe it's Thacker. It's not. He is a baby. What was going on with that close-up?
It must be the
Playing
eyes.
with our emotions.
It must be the generational eyes that he's related. Thacker is his grandfather, right? So like it's still a lineage, but it's not the way the show made it. Like we said, it was like it was going to be directly him. But it makes, as soon as this episode began, I was like, oh, obviously we saw her leave the ship pregnant, and of course it's Caribou Man is that baby.
Yeah. Oh, I did forget when we're talking about mommies, Mrs. Zhang, mommy. Rosie, also a mommy, and Rosie's sister is going to be a mommy as well.
Future
So,
mommy.
Pete, I just want to ask you again, I really want to put your feet to the fire here. Is no longer daddy time, is now time for mommy?
Well, I also think that there was a really fun moment where the mom was kind of howling at her with her kids when they kind of daylight was up, and she was just howling with their kids. So I thought that was a nice moment.
That's nice. That's a very much at the end of the episode, and I feel like you. Why did you say that right now?
He just doesn't want to talk about the thing that I'm talking about because he's too scared. Let's be honest.
The daddy to mommy spectrum is strong here. Well, like going back to the beginning, we have Gus in a storm trying to have a pretty meaningful conversation with Caribou Man, and I think to your point, Alex, daddy time is over because Caribou Man is like, I'm not interested in talking to you almost at all. Let's just go back to my church house.
Yes.
Well,
Let
I
me
mean,
die here.
yeah, he's dying. It's not like he's like, hey, fuck you, kid. He's got a lot going on. You know what I mean?
But it'd be even more annoying if you're dying and it's a storm and a kid's like asking you sort of invasive questions about your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, just look at the tusk. All right, leave me alone and let me
Tusk
die.
tells the whole story.
Yeah, the tusk.
My dad did the same thing. He was like,
Yeah.
whenever I'd ask him a question about our family, he'd be like, just look at the tusk.
And what did the tusk? What was the map for on your tusk, Alex?
Mostly it was about like growing up in the suburbs and like, playing baseball. but
what's
not
your
being particularly
cave?
good at it? Our cave?
It was a map
Man
to
Cave.
like Kevin Smith films.
Yeah, there was a
Nice.
picture of the clerks at the end, and it said in some foreign language, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Oh, wow.
Snoochie Boochies.
Yeah.
Alex's daddy. Says those are your dad's last words, right? Snoochie
Oof.
Boochies.
Rip Dad.
But I do think the cameraman got a rough pull. He doesn't get to do much besides die and say no.
He also refuses. I will say there was a little bit of a not confusing, but like a little bit of a excuse going on here where he's like, "No, I will not deal with any of your human medicine. Just, nice lady, please give me the blue juice if you could pour it directly into my mouth."
Oh, there's nothing like blue juice.
I don't do. I drink blue juice. Yeah, I don't do medicine. I do drink blue juice exclusively.
Which is ink. I assume he's drinking ink, right?
Yeah, doesn't help him at all, but.
Another little bit of business. This is jumping far afield, but made me laugh, and I know it wasn't supposed to. But when Becky and Wendy are in the snowplow or whatever it is, driving around, and they're having a heartfelt.
A lot of snow to plow up there, Alex.
They'll get it. They'll get it eventually.
Maybe that's what the final episode is, just cleaning up Alaska.
Yeah, like, a lot of snow up here. They're in whatever that vehicle is, and they're having a heartfelt conversation, and Wendy is very lovingly sort of like wiping the blood off Becky's face, and then Becky says something, and she's like, "No, look at me, look," and the other side of her face is completely slathered with blood.
Yeah.
Again, not funny, but
that wasn't. I don't know why that made you laugh.
It was funny because there's a lot of mess to clean up. I mean, that scene was so nice, I thought. From top to bottom, like it was like all of the hybrids get up to Alaska and they get powerful. Wendy's like wrecking shit.
Dude, Wendy is straight up shadow status. Like, she is full on ninja at this point. She showed Becky the ways. She was just like, listen, you got to start living the shadow life like I do. And all of a sudden had just like all this life experience to share with her older sister. Like, it was awesome to hear her kind of like talk about her power and like, listen, I live in the shadows. I work in the shadows. I can help you. We can steal this snowplow machine thing and roll deep, but you got to get used to the shadow life. And I thought this was an amazing Becky episode, or Wendy episode, because Wendy has just been killing it nonstop.
I disagree that this was a great Wendy episode. Like, I think it was.
What are you talking about? She has been hiding and has not been caught in like
that was
3
episodes.
Yeah, and then stole a fucking truck in broad daylight. This ATV looking thing.
It's a snowplow. We've established that.
Sure, whatever. There's no plow on it though, so it feels weird to call it a snowplow when it's just the other part of it. So, anyways,
Snowcat.
It is. It's an old version of a snowcat, basically. But I just think that she has been such a huge part of not getting caught, making sure that she's getting where she needs to be, and shows up at the perfect time because she has mastered the art of the shadow.
Hell of a case Pete's making here that Wendy dwells in darkness. I will say the beginning of this episode had a lot of like the Death Star in A New Hope energy, where everyone was like barely hiding from hundreds of stormtrooper dudes. Like, how many people were on the plane that Zhang brought up?
I don't know.
There?
What are they all doing is my bigger question, because they're always very busy. There's a lot of like blow torches going constantly and everything.
When you work for a madman, you always have to look busy. You know that.
That's what I think they're actually doing with the blow torches, is they're taking the plows off of the snow plows, and that's true. That's why it looks like that.
That proves it true. What do you think the jeans budget on this show is? Man, Levi's are moving. And I got to say, jeans in Alaska, they got cold weens.
Mm-hmm. But I would like to go to Caribou Man's defense a little bit here. He didn't say a lot to Gus, but just the couple words they did say about like, how did you know where to find me? And he said the heart. Like, that was awesome. You know what I mean? Like, that was really cool. I was pretty upset at the mom when she was like, whatever you do, don't be like Caribou Man. It was like, oh, are you talking about the guy who just saved Gus's ass? You know what I mean? The only person that came to Gus's rescue and, oh, by the way, brought you two motherfuckers together, saved your ass when you were just passed out next to your fucking jet ski or whatever the fuck. Like how quickly you turn on Caribou Man just because he got fucking sick and was brought up in a ridiculous world and had to hide from everybody.
Well, but I think that's what she's saying is like, that was unfortunate.
Don't be a hero. Don't save the day. That's what she wants Gus not to do. I mean, what the fuck?
I think what she's saying is what
Mom is sus.
what makes Gus special is that he has such an open heart, and you hear this a little bit in Jep's speech. There was a lot of great just lines in this episode.
Oh my God! Also zingers. There were some crazy zingers.
But Jep, in giving his sort of speech to Sienna's crew, he says he's the best in us and he expects the best in us. And that is sort of she was just saying, like, preserve that part of you. That's what makes, despite the fact that you're different because of all of these hybrid things, the real difference maker for Gus is that he is so open-hearted and everyone else that they encounter is not.
Well, and we also got a big twist with his destiny here in terms of finding out Caribou Man was the first hybrid, not him. There is that nice delivery, Christian Convery. I don't know his name. Chris.
Gus.
There you go.
Yeah, probably better to call him by his character name. He delivers where he's like, oh, I'm kind of relieved to know this, but I still kind of want to find that cave, and now we should save everybody, and here's why, etc., etc. So I assume next episode we're going to get something very specific about how things work, and if anything, I think that might be Birdie's secret. Like, she's already kind of figured out, she's probably taken the dynamite to blow up the
cave.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the heart of the ocean, but whatever.
What? Wow.
The world.
The blood of the earth.
But
I think she would close up the cave. You explode the cave opening so nobody can get to the blood.
Right. She might also have figured out that to close the circle, Gus has to die or something like that. So I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Why are you killing Gus, bro?
Well, let's talk about that, because I think that's a big theme here. Is that, you know, Gus calls Birdie his mother, but as we know, Birdie's not really his mother, and Birdie is sort of like, maybe humans do need to die. Like, she echoes Caribou Man's thought, and Gus is like, whoa, that's not cool. Yeah. Like, we have Birdie also sort of being in a mother-father roles, in those roles with Gus, with Will Forte's character Pubba, and they didn't even know each other hardly. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's a lot of confusing ideas that I think are, again, in this fairy tale logic that Gus has in his head that aren't actually true. And I think we're going to upset those ideas going into it. And another example of it is you have Caribou Man, as he's dying, is imagining his mother, and Birdie is sort of portraying his mother, which I thought was really cool, but also just showed that everyone needs a mother, even though that's not what he had there.
Interesting. Yeah, so you would say is mommy time.
Is mommy time.
Also, why didn't she share with the class? You know what I mean? She whispered some shit to Caribou Man, but why are you whispering in front of Gus? You know what I mean? Like, why can't you share with everybody what you're whispering? Is she like, don't worry, we'll kill all the humans for you? Or do you think she whispered?
I think what she did say to him is like, don't worry, I will protect the cave from the people. That's why she took the dynamite. So I think that her last thing to him was that.
I mean, the big question, and we're going to find out soon enough, is where are we going to end up in the world, and what is actually true? Like, is it all this mystical destiny stuff? Is there more of a pseudo-scientific explanation for what's happening? Is there a way of getting rid of the sick and the hybrids? I mean, I think ultimately the absolute craziest part of this plan, however it nets out, even if they do manage to, like, reverse everything, reverse the hybrid birds, etc., the fact that Zhang thinks her daughter is in very much of the third trimester, and if they reverse this, suddenly it's magically going to become a human baby instead of a hybrid baby, that's the craziest idea out of anybody's.
Agree.
Okay.
Because I also think, like, just on that, like, everyone's believing in nonsense, sort of. And, like, even the idea that they're going to go in this cave and that's suddenly going to cure the sick, like, what? How? That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense that a germ would be unlocked, or a virus from this ancient cave that would make everyone sick, but you don't spread a cure that way. So, like, I don't know. There's not scientific thinking in the destiny thinking. Like, if we want to get into Singh, he's lost it.
Yeah, he has, but he does explain because Gus talks about how the cave is calling him, you know what I mean? And how, certain animals are kind of like, there's a Homan beacon, they talk about like salmon swimming upstream and that kind of stuff. So I did like trying to scientifically explain that a little bit of like why Gus feels like this cave is calling him. I think that's an interesting idea. And I hope kind of as we find out about the blood of the earth, we get some more, trying to explain this in a way that seems more logical. But there's a lot of explaining to do.
I do think you got some explaining to do, Lucy. Yeah. I do think that is sort of where I think it's going to end up, is that it's nature, it's the science part of nature mixing with sort of the more spiritual part of nature. And that's what is the driving force here. And that when humans pollute that thinking, the way that Thacker was behaving and the way that all these other people are behaving, that's where we go wrong and something like the sick occurs.
Yeah. I also think we'll have to get, and maybe this is me vaguely remembering the ending, so because legitimately I do not, and I have not gone back and read it or anything like that, but for anybody listening who's never read the thing, turn away in case I'm remembering it correctly in the recesses of my brain. But I do feel like there needs to be something with like whatever Thacker did. We see that shot of him with the axe. He's breaking something. I think I do remember what it is, so I won't say that. But I think they have to heal it. Like, I think ultimately that's what it is. And it doesn't get rid of the hybrids. Maybe it does get rid of the sick. But if this is something that really is the heart of the world, if it is the blood of the world, then you need to heal the sickness of the blood of the world that maybe Thacker caused originally, and that's where they net out. So it doesn't get the everything is reversed and fine and nobody's ever sick again, but it does get a long way to healing the damage that was done 100+ years ago.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And it also plays into the fairy tale logic that not only Gus is believing, but everyone believes. And I think that's going to be upset. And Gus's open-hearted belief in humanity and people is the only thing that's actually going to buoy them after everything falls apart.
I mean, yeah, and that's a great example of Jep kind of like keying into that, of like his speech was really impressive because it was like this thing of like, what is right and what is wrong, and how Gus has moved him and changed him, and how he used to be like those assholes, just being selfish and thinking of yourself. But Gus showed him a better way. And I was very moved by that speech. I thought it was really impressive. Also, I loved the Caribou Man.
It's because you have Alaskan townsperson energy, Pete.
Oh, thank you so much. I also
like a man who's run from his life to the only part of the country.
Hey, how dare you say that about Alaskan? Some people are born there, dude. Don't put that on.
No. I don't think so. It's sort of like our Australia. Everyone's.
No, come on, man. Don't put that on Pete, Alaska. It's a beautiful
Pete.
Place.
Well,
hey,
what did Delaware?
I don't know. First state.
Idaho, Alaska.
Oh, fun. You're a fun person. I did,
you
we're
also
talking
say,
about...
by the way, just for clarity, if you say what to Delaware, you can also say her New Jersey. That's fine as well.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
You were talking more sense.
You were talking about 100 years. It was fun that the Caribou Man is so old. I did like his line, "I'm old and not stupid." It was a fun zinger for sure.
Mm-hmm. That was good. My favorite line of the episode was Birdie asking Gus about the big man, and he's like, how big is he? He's like, at least the size of 2 pumas, which was very funny. And also on the other end, dramatically, I just wanted to shout out Amy Seimetz this episode. Her listening to Gus describe Puma to...
Oh, yeah, that was
great.
I just silently reacted to it. Great acting in that scene. Really impressive.
Do you think...
Realizing she made a great choice by giving... that basically janitor that she had a one-night stand with, the child to raise, was such a smart decision. Because she, was like, I probably wouldn't have done such a good job. It was nice to kind of see that,
Do you think in that moment she loved Puba?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe, yeah.
I'd like to think so.
The way that she's performing it and is sort of upset made me think that, but I was like, that doesn't really make sense. And it's nice that we, the viewers, could believe that for a moment. But she truly was like, you're sort of annoying. Please take this baby.
Well, but she's put so much of herself in finding Gus and reuniting with Gus. You build up stories there. And
Yeah.
to the point that you're making, having seen that Gus turned out not just okay, but great,
Yeah.
that makes you kind of love the person that you gave him up to take care of him, because it reflects back on you a little bit, or Birdie a little bit, to be more specific, where she's like, I made, it turns out, a good decision here. And so she's probably proud of herself. That's a relief.
Yeah.
She is imagining all these scenarios. I'm sure she spent years imagining scenarios as well. So, to your point, it's up for interpretation, but there's a lot in that moment, and Amy Simons is playing all of it silently, which is cool.
One other thing, like about Birdie, aren't she and Singh sort of the same, or at least two
Same,
sides
yeah.
of the
Very
same coin?
scientific. Yeah, yeah.
Well, but even beyond that, they were both, using Gus at a time to advance their goals, or like Gus was sort of
Do you
a
think
symbol of like their personal ego journey.
do you think maybe when they get together their combined knowledge could save the day?
No, I think the opposite. I think when they get together, it's going to be bad. I think what I was saying before,
They're
like
both
Birdie,
going to want to kill Gus, is what you're saying?
I don't know if she wants to kill Gus directly. Singh does.
What's the
because
dynamite for?
That's what I mean. But I think that's more about keeping the cave from being whatever happens in there out. But I do think Singh is just following his destiny. I think his egotism, like his vision, I think that's his blood on the knife. Mm-hmm. And he's just so self-obsessed, he can't see. He sees himself as a hero when he is very plainly not the hero. He's morally bankrupt. He's actively saying, I'll kill that kid. When Zhang's like, no one asked for that. Why are you saying that? He's like, I think I have to kill him. And it's like, okay. And she's taking advantage of him also. But I think, and when he picks up the knife at the end and it's one from his vision, I was like, oh, that was well done move. But that knife's going into his gut, I believe.
Ooh, interesting. But yeah, that was a nice moment with the knife for sure. I did want to kind of bring up the fact that we were talking about Wendy and Becky in the vehicle, and the got any better ideas was such a great zinger there. That was such a fun line.
Yeah.
Anything else from the episode you want to call out before we move on here?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think the moment right before Rosie and her kids howl together, which like Pete was saying, is an awesome moment.
It is.
But there's a moment before that.
The sister's moment? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm actually saying those words right now. Rosie and her sister are there, and
I'm trying to agree.
Yeah. She's talking to the boys, and she's like, you don't have to pretend to care. Rosie says that to her sister, and her sister says, no, you have to pretend that you don't.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good and really really setting Rosie up to end up on the side of good. And then right after that, another great line in exchange is talking to the girls are talking to Jep, and he's like, Gus doesn't need me. And I believe him when he says that. He's like, he's fine. I'm trying to sort out all this other nonsense. And then they say, no, you need him.
Yeah.
And that hits him. And that's why I know that he's the one knocking
at the door. That's who I want it to be.
It is.
That's what I want it to be. But I'm worried it's going to be like another villain that we just haven't seen for a while or something. You know what I mean?
Man 2?
No, like one from one of the Last Men or something.
What if it's Will Forte?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, but he's playing his character from Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Like, I'm not Pruba. I'm another guy.
Similar. I'm a similar guy. I played two similar roles.
Anything else?
I love the Leonard Cohen song at the end. Very cool.
That whole montage sequence was great. Like, I know you said this before, but before we got on, this is not calling you out, Pete, but you were like, man, I can't wait for the final episode. And it 100%, that montage is like, it's all happening. It's all going down in the next episode. And I think the structure that we're going to get instead is it is all going to go down in the next episode. That will be the big action heavy episode, and then the last one will be wrapping up and looking forward, almost an epilogue to the whole thing.
A classic Game of Thrones style.
Are you just, this is what your feeling is, or have you looked ahead and that's how
this
you...
is what my feeling is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, one thing we didn't talk about that was wild was Zhang's scorpion truck.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the real
Jesus.
monster, the beast. Yeah, the evil scorpion drilling beast. Yeah, that's...
Her snowplow, you mean?
Yeah, it is a snowplow. But I will say it plows into people's brains. I will say that truck they were describing as a drilling machine that can drill through anything or whatever. And then the way the scorpion works, where they just hooked the little neck thing up to it, I was like, oh, you sound like you're describing two different things.
Anything else before we move on to Candy?
Great app. It was a great app.
Great app.
Great app. Really nervous about the next one. I think some folks are going to die. But we might die first from eating all of this candy. We're going to be trying out Swedish Fish.
Great way to go.
Swedish Fish this week. On the back of mine, it says, "Am I getting red?" What is the red stripe on yours, Justin? You have like a red stripe on the
that's
cover?
the top of the box.
Oh, okay. I don't have that.
But I think we have the same.
Yeah, we have different editions. You probably have like a first edition, and I have a second edition.
Mine says expired 5 years ago. Is that...
Why?
That's not gonna be good.
Why don't you like Swedish Fish? Because this is one of my favorite candies of all time.
You don't like chewy, delicious, tasty things? Is that what it is?
I love this. Like, here's the thing. I will say, taste-wise, it's stronger, but it's definitely in a very similar genre to Twizzlers, which I know you didn't like as well.
I like Twizzlers.
You go.
Yeah. These taste like red vines.
No, they do not. These are so much better than red vines, man.
They're very sticky. I will give you that.
Chewy and delicious.
It's like eating a chalkboard eraser.
What are you talking about?
Really? No, these are probably, they're strawberry or berry flavored, right? Assume fish flavored?
What's the version of these that tastes like super salty?
Sardines? Are you thinking of sardines?
Oh, actual fish. I prefer I would rather eat a tin of sardines than eat this.
You like
I
to
will
smell?
say, these are the regular size Swedish Fish that we got here.
I got the little ones.
Oh, those are much better.
Yep.
Those are better.
That's why I got them.
Yeah, because not
I'm a
quite as
candy
sticky.
veteran.
Those are good. You pop one in your mouth, much easier to chew.
Yep.
Doesn't get stuck in your teeth as much.
Yep.
And if you want, I don't know, this is going to sound a little gross, but like sometimes I like to suck on them a little bit just to make them last longer.
Cool, man.
I got weird fast.
Did you say cool?
I said
It is
cool.
Pete, since only you and I really care about these, and Justin seems actively sad right now, what do you think about the other flavored ones versus the basic flavor?
No, not as enjoyable, but I'll
Agreed.
still eat them.
I agree. We're on the same page here. See,
Wow.
this podcast should be just about candy, not about the show or anything like that.
Agreed.
What? Get out of here.
I could talk about candy all day.
But these are great. I love having these.
The Swedish
I'm gonna
Fish are a
definitely
classic, great candy.
Love that pull.
Yeah.
Pull the candy.
Oh, the big ones, yeah.
But then you have to chew it. Which is hard on a podcast.
Oh, are you chew these? I've been eating them whole.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
You sort of put them over your mouth like a cat or a seal.
Yeah, and then I pull out a bunch of Swedish bones. Like,
Do you really get no taste from these?
I taste it's just chalky.
Chalky. What is
My
that?
bag's cashed. That's some good fish
Really
right
interested
there.
about the. I wonder if you have like a cilantro tastes like dirt thing, but specifically for Swedish Fish.
What would that be?
Tastes like chalk. I
Is
don't
that
know.
a diagnosed situation?
Yeah, it's a genetic allergy.
Yeah, maybe because you're drinking well water your whole life, there's certain things you can't taste.
I grew up on well water. I haven't been drinking well water for many years.
Well, I'm saying it affected you as a child.
Yeah.
Your taste buds didn't fully develop like they should have.
Maybe it's like the gel. There's something about the gelatin, or I don't know what it is. It's just not my fave.
I like these.
Because
I
here's
like
the
that
thing:
Oh, go ahead.
Twizzlers are much better than these.
Well, it's a different experience. I was just trying to compare them because they're both like very light flavors. Twizzlers even more so, to the point where, like, you say this is strawberry, but I kind of don't believe you.
Oh man, It's got caribou wax in here, so maybe that's the caribou is.
That's not caribou wax.
No, it's not, but it's similar. Red number 40.
Carnauba wax.
Red
Carnauba
number
wax,
40.
isn't that what you put on surfboards to make them go faster?
I think you put them on cars. But the red number 40. Red number 40 is my favorite color number flavor. You know what I mean?
Isn't that dangerous? Doesn't that cause cancer? I'm going to eat more of these later. Also, I have a question about the first two ingredients. Sugar and invert sugar? Which seems like reverse sugar.
Reverse sugar.
Oh,
it's
dude,
like the reverse flash.
It's like inward singing. You know what I mean?
But
like
that cancels
it's
it
double.
out. This basically has no sugar.
Double sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar and sugar's greatest enemy itself. Locked in a horrible battle to the death in our guts now that our guts that have been sluiced with carnauba wax. So the
Well, you got to put down a nice wax before you eat Swedish fish. You know what I mean?
Bubble
the first
gum.
thing they needed to decide was, how can we give this to people and they won't die? And they put a couple of things in there, like the carnauba wax.
I'm going to bubble gum these things right out my butthole, I think.
Oh, man. That's very graphic.
On that note, if you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about, what did you say? Bubblegumming things out of our butthole?
Yeah, bubble gum out the butt.
Yep, there we go. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, the Candyman Cad.
I'd rather eat actual pickled herring from Sweden than these guys.
Keep it Swedish.